that did everything to pursue me. I am talking wine and dine, have these deep emotional moments with me. I mean, we would cry together. He would write these love letters to me. I mean, one day I remember saying I was sick, and maybe like 20 minutes later, there was a knock on my door, and my doorman came up, and he had delivered soup for me.
Oh.
And I think even a humidifier. This is so random. I was sick and like clean, like, a whole thing.
Yeah, right.
And this was like the norm for the first 2 years of our relationship, to the point where even his family and his friends were like, this is a changed man. We've never seen this version. So, and that fed my ego. That made me feel like, oh my gosh, like I've changed him. He's totally different. This is real. This is true. And then 2 years into the relationship, once the love experience, the in-love experience had ended, he was a completely different person. He was cold with me. I felt like I couldn't reach that person that I fell in love with anymore.
Just real quick in one sentence, what do you guys think happened?
Started how he could not finish.
He had his representative working. He got tired.
Honestly, that nothing is coming to me off that clip.
I wish you would have completed your thought, but from what I get, I say that he probably should have dialed it back a little bit. I feel like sometimes you just can't give that much because you will be taken advantage of. You said one sentence, so I'll stop there.
All right, go ahead, Dara.
I think he set expectations in a way that where he couldn't be consistent.
Samantha?
I don't know. I think it's love bombing. Off top, he's giving her something that he can't keep up with, like everyone else is saying. Like, seriously.
All right, Swing.
You're starting something you can't finish.
I don't really. I'm gonna let you figure it out, but I did want to respond to Bruiser. 2 years ain't consistent. That's pretty goddamn long time to keep up. Like that's
consistent is consistent. Consistent doesn't have I wouldn't say consistent have a duration of an ending. It's just continually to plateau or whatever you want to call it. Continue at that same rate. That's what consistency is. Anytime you stop it, it is no longer deemed consistent.
Fair enough.
So are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Just one sentence when you heard that. What did you think?
I just think he could no longer pretend anymore. Like, he can no longer keep up the facade. Like, at some point, his true colors was going to show.
I think he just went broke, maybe.
Okay. Well, we're gonna dive into it. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up with Luis. He says, but do you guys really believe that he was the issue? Though, honestly, I believe what might have happened was he was really interested in her, and he showed up for her consistently like no other man had. Even in her own admission, he brought me soup, he wrote me love notes, blah, blah. But notice that she never mentioned a single thing that she did for him. Notice carefully how she never mentioned how she reciprocated. I think he got tired of showing up for her, and she never showed up for him. And lastly, of course, she's gonna think he changed. She got comfortable. What Brother Luis said. I'll go ahead and open up to you, Sweeney, to kind of go ahead and lead the discussion. So you came off the mic. You want to say something?
No, I was just going to say she did say that, it fed her ego when his family and friends would say that he was a different kind of person. So it could be possible that she didn't reciprocate and that he did, realize that at some point.
Okay. Go ahead, Sweeney.
Yeah, so this is kind of what sparked it because it immediately got me thinking about love bombing. How so many people accuse somebody of love bombing. Oh, he love bombed me. He did all of this stuff for me, and then out of nowhere, he just was a completely different person. And sometimes I think, now, not to say that love bombing isn't real. I'm not going to say that. I think it's actually a real term, and it does occur. However, I don't think it happens as often as people claim that it does. I think a lot of people are unappreciative of the things that people do for them, and that person who does those things for you can feel that. They can see it. And eventually they get tired of doing it. So once they tired and they back off, you know what I mean? Now all of a sudden he's a completely different person. When in reality, you never upheld your end of the bargain. You never reciprocated. You never even acknowledged his effort. Yeah, you went to your homegirls and bragged about all the shit that he did, but you never showed him. So that's that. Like when Luis said that, I was like, damn, because I always hear about love bombing. That kind of, you know what I mean? That kind of made it make sense for me.
Wouldn't you think that maybe she wasn't? I mean, she didn't tell her side. Well, the other side of the story, which would probably come from him. But it seems like maybe something she was doing that she stopped, caused him to stop. But me personally, I don't think that's enough. If that's what you want to do for your woman, if that's who you are as a man, you should just do it because that's who you are. But on the flip side, if you're doing it to get something in return, maybe you should confirm that you're able to get that in return at the rate that you're doing it in the beginning, instead of waiting 2 years in to figure out if she can return it. Because me personally, I think it's self-inflicted. When you wait so long for your work to get a return on its investment, and then it don't happen, and now you got to change who you are. I would say just make sure that you're getting it in the beginning, so that you don't have to deal with this nuance when they find out, hey, well, she must don't love me the way I love. Because I think all of us can say that in a relationship, one of us may love the other person more than they are, or it may appear that way. I don't think everybody really loves each other or shows love to each other evenly. There's always one person that does more and one person that does less. But if that's who you are, just do it.
You don't have you ever worked a job that you gave your all to and you didn't feel like that you were getting any return on your investment? And you felt like it was time for you to stop or leave?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I have, but I no. Let me correct that. I have never worked a job, intentionally worked a job hard and bust my ass for it, without knowing that there was a promotion or there was some type of reward for doing the work. If I know that at the end of my work, at the end of my hard work, there was no appreciation for the things I did, and it's rewarded with promotion or pay raises, then I don't work that hard.
How do you know if a job is going to reward you with a pay raise? And I'm gonna tie it back into the relationship thing.
Well, I think before anybody does any hard work, they're looking into. They're probably communicating with the peer employees to see, like, okay, what are the end result of me actually pulling 80 hours a week? Like, what do I get for that? Man, I did that. You get this and that, and you might make sergeant if you go do this. If you do 80 push-ups, 90 sit-ups, and you run a 13-minute 2-mile, you can get promoted. They're gonna send you to a board. See, I think the investigation starts before you start putting your time and energy in it. If you actually value your time and energy. But if you don't, and you also got to compensate for your passion. If it's your passion, if it's something that nobody can pay you to do, that you get in day up and you just crave doing what you love, it doesn't even matter whether you get rewarded at the end. So you have to also look at that.
Well, I would argue that we as humans, we all know how demoralizing it can be to work hard or to give so much effort and then not yield the results that you want or yield any results at all. So, you know what I mean? Whether that's work, whether that's relationship, because you're making it sound as if there had to be a full-blown confirmation that, hey, you're most definitely going to get a promotion if you work these 80 hours, rather than understanding that you have the mindset of, I know my father worked hard and he got his promotion and he worked his way up through the ranks. And that's what you're constantly told is if you do the work and you work hard, it's going to yield good results. And so when you work for a job, that you do that for and you don't see the results, you don't think that might make you say, you know what, I'm gonna either leave this job alone or move on to something else?
No, I wouldn't know. If first of all, I understand what you're saying about not having any confirmation for the reward you should reap from doing the hard work. But I will say there is some type of insurance. So you move in a way to where you can insure yourself or you tap out. But for example, if I did work a job very hard for a very long time, I've investigated what the results or the reward should yield. And if I don't get it, I don't quit. I actually go to HR and I get what I'm owed, so to speak. I've actually had that happen before. I didn't quit. I didn't say I'm going to go switch jobs. I actually looked at the amount of hours I accumulated over time that by policy rewarded me with the next position or the next pay upgrade. And if that didn't happen, then I took it to the superiors and they corrected that. I didn't quit because I think that's a waste. If you know for sure that the record shows that, hey, look, you work this hard, this is what you get. And this is actual policy. This is in black and white. And you sign it whenever you're onboarding through orientation or whatever for a job. And you don't get those things, then you can actually go take that up with HR. And I think Lapeef said it best when he take it to HR.
You ain't know. Have you ever heard of the phrase "going where your work is appreciated"?
Yeah, but how do you know it's appreciated until you do the work?
Well, for instance, because you using the term quit, but what if you seek out another job and they offer you the raise or the promotion that you were looking for and they recognize your work, whereas this particular job doesn't? So to tie it back in, what if that guy found greener pastures elsewhere? What if he found a woman that actually does appreciate it and he left her alone and was like, no, I'm good on you?
Well, see, when you try to compare work to a woman, you got to understand, and being employed, it's like they have to give it to you if it's policy or if it's just best practice for an organization to reward you for your work. But you're talking about a woman. Yeah, one could argue that is best practice, but it's a privilege. She can say, oh, well, I don't want to do it, and she don't have to do it. You get what I'm saying? Versus a job, you can actually file a lawsuit.
Well, the thing is that I get what you're saying, and Ruth's trying to get in, so I'm going to keep this short. And you're absolutely right. She doesn't have to give it. But why does that make him a bad person for no longer wanting to provide that and going to greener pastures? She don't have to do anything for it, but he doesn't have to continue to do it either, and then be considered a person that is love bombing or switching up on her, or in the negative and that negative stereotype or that negative connotation that comes with it. He should just be looked at as a person.
I would say it made him a bad person, because if you listen to her voice and how she said how he did this and all this, and it just stopped. I think he led her or strung her along under an impression that, hey, I love you. This is who I am. These are the things I'm willing to do for you on a consistent basis. But it isn't clear that he painted the expectation that, hey, look, these are the things I want in return. And if you don't give them to me, then it stops. I don't think that conversation had taken place, which makes him a bad person.
You don't think that
if you're gonna use a transactional style relationship dynamic, these details need to be explained so the woman don't feel like, oh, he just cut me off. Like, damn, nigga, you could have told me you wanted me to what you say, it's Trev Gawk 3000? You could have told me you wanted Gawk 3000 every Thursday.
Yeah, you kind of speculating
giving it to you. But I'm saying it's a communication issue.
Why do you assume he didn't communicate?
I mean, we can. If the details aren't laid out, then we reserve the right to make assumptions.